Good morning everyone for organizing such an event. Proposal. What is our proposal for it? That is the first one. The next one is we have a quality control order which is released by various industry. So first if you take the state lift factor as a rule. In India again, which is not applicable for all the states. So there are two states, they have released this lift factor rule a couple of years ago. There are a couple of states still they have to release. It is in the draft or they have to implement that. So basically, it is available only a few states actually. So basically, the state lift factor rule define the license part, the approval, and also the safety norms. So that is the basic things they are defining. So wherever we have a lift act and rule, where it is mandatory, since it is comes under the act, it is mandatory. But again, how this lift act and rule are supported mainly by the various Indian standard actually. So currently which is IS 900. So earlier which is IS 14665. So basically, they followed this the BS Indian standard. The main standard is currently IS 1 and 2. There are few states still they are not following the BS standard. They have their own the lift rule and the regulation actually. So again, which is not again common. Even we have a lift and act which is again not so common. And of course, there are other guidelines, the National Building Code, where it defines the planning and selection and the fire sequence and the fire area requirements. So there are many things covered in the National Building Code. And apart from that, there are other guidelines available, which is released by CPWD, RDSO, the metro projects. So which are the other guidelines are available. But as for the India, the lift state act and rule is the main the framework, which is supported by the VAS Indian standard. Coming to the second, the legal framework is the quality control order, so basically which is released by the various ministry. Of course, if you take our elevator escalator industry, so we don't have any particular QCO which is released for our industry. Of course, there are the QCO which is released for the other industry, which is of course is also applicable for our elevator escalator. For example, Crore, they have released the quality control order. There are another part again, the MCD, conductors, cable, the communication device, which are part of this QCO. So, as I said, so we don't have any QCO for our specific industry. The reason is whenever I say the QCO, it's required this certification. This certification and as well as for the standard. As for our industry, yes, we have a standard available, the regulation. The government was released for the entire industry, not specific to the elevator and the escalator. So, which is released on last year 24, but unfortunately they are withdrawn this over the year, where it covers the major electrical and the mechanical items. At present it is on hold, but definitely I believe this will be released, where it will cover many of our important components. It is also beneficial. But the challenge also I want to highlight in this podium is, as an industry, we don't have any specific HSN code for our escalator and elevator industry. Of course, we have a couple of escalator HSN code, which is very common general code actually. If you take the component level, you have a challenge. So this is the two legal framework. One is the lift act and rule, and the second is the quality control. So moving to my interesting topic, I want to just mention the challenges. What is our challenges? Industry challenges. So not only for the manufacturer, it is also for the customer. Because most of the case, our customer is responsible for the license. They are also facing the challenge. So here just I want to give some challenges. Again, I am not covering 100% here actually considering the time. So this is a map indicating where we have the lift act and rule across India. So wherever it is a gray, again, there is no lift I can go. So wherever it is dark blue, yes, we have a lift I can go. But again, yes, it is available in the blue state. But again, it is not same. It is different based on the application, based on the license, based on the form, based on the safety norms, based on the fee structure. Everything is very, which is very state to state action. What is the impact for our industry? The impact is the people who are running the business across the state having the problem because each state you have to follow the each state with pattern. So that is a big challenge. Not only for the people who are running the business across the India, the people who are running the business in a particular state, they have a challenge to extend their business further. That's also a big challenge I want to highlight. Another reason, the other gaps, what as an industry we have a challenge. So I listed out in a couple of slides. The first thing is no state level lift control, not define anything about the safety component, type testing and certification. Of course, the standard and the maintenance record is all missing in the current state level record. And again, there are challenges related to the manual license process. Still, there are few states that are following the manual license process. As I mentioned, there are challenges in the technical standard, what we need to follow. The inspector availability, as industry we have grown almost every year 2x and 3x, but the inspector availability is a big challenge for almost all the states we have it. And again, the renewal process of the license, which is very state to state. Some states say that every year we need to renew. Some state we have 5 years. Some state it is 3 years, which is very state to state. And then the centralized tracking. So we don't have any kind of centralized track related with the incident and accident. So these are the big challenge what I want to highlight. So there are some screenshots which I have taken from some state level act control actually. What is our challenges? So the main thing is there are some states where they have a lift act control for several decades, which was not updated. That is one of the big challenges actually. One of the examples that I want to say, if you just see the machinery, equipment, tool requirement, still it is mentioned that we need a lathe machine, drilling machine, welding machine, which is practically is not really applicable because everything is done at our factory and we are just doing the installation commission, which is a blaming act. But if you see the most of the state where it is mentioned that we need a drilling, lathe, offshore machine, everything. So which is again just the example actually. And similarly, there are the state they mentioned that. They are not mentioning exactly what standard needs to be followed. They just mentioned the relevant the standard where the people are taking advantage. Also, the people are getting confused. Okay. And the other thing is the confidence requirement. Again, this is also one of the big challenges that we still asking for our the license requirement. We need a license fee. The electrical holder need actually. Practically, it's not required for our industry. Another thing is, other example is, if you take particularly for Delhi attack control, where they say that the machine room is mandatory. So meaning that there is no provision for the MRL, and again there is also mentioned about the trapdoor requirement, practically which is not allowed in our main standard. So that is, and again there are a few states. The confusion related to the landing ordinance, there some ways they mentioned that almost only 800, and again the same the lift act rule mentioned the 700 also. So this is another example. Just I want to say that apart from the state act and rule, there will be a in between some sort of notification. Again, it is impacting our business, elevator delivery business. So one of the examples is the Karnataka released the IoT standard. Where they mentioned that it needs to be implemented across all the elevator and escalator, which is not practically possible actually. But again, it is not the clarity about what standard needs to be followed. There is no similarity. Similarly, for Maharashtra, they released about the fire evacuation elevator. Again, there is no clarity about what standard needs to be followed. So only the guideline was released. So these are the big challenge what we have. So I listed out here actually. So then moving to the third part. Yes, I listed out the problem in the few slides actually. So I also want to share what is the global framework which is currently available in global access. So I've taken the four big region where we have here business. So one is about China, where they are following the mandatory standard. Not like India, they got it as a mandatory standard. They followed the GB 7588, 1 and 2 they are following actually. Basically, this in China, this particular industry comes under the special safety equipment standard actually rule, so which comes under that rule, where they are implementing the mandatory the regulation across China. Now, of course, in China also there are certain regions it is not so mandatory, but again, I can say that 80% of the region they follow this mandatory standard GB 7588 with the help of the special equipment safety law. Then coming to the Japan, they call it as a Japanese industrial standard where they follow the 4302. The implementation is taking place with the help of building the standard law. So here, the couple of the best practice just I want to highlight in JIS. The first thing is they are giving the elevator approval along with the building approval actually. So that is a good thing actually. But we have separate approval actually. And other thing is the license also they are giving along with the building license. As for the ASME, again they are following the main standard ASME 17.1, but again it is very the state to state and region to region actually. So that is also the big challenge in ASME and particularly for US implementation. The other part, just I want to, the main thing is the other area which is equivalent to the India is the Europe, where they following the LIFT directive. So basically, you control the license and the certification and the regulatory the framework actually. So basically, just I want to about the license and certification. So basically, they are doing this the license and certification based on the technical documentation, based on the risk assessment, and then also the releasing the declaration of the conformity. So based on that, the CE marking was released, which is nothing but the ISA marking in India actually. So basically, this ensured the safe design, manufacturing, and installation part. So this is a structure. I don't want to go in deep. Basically, it has a separate 6th chapter defining the list of safety components, conformity assessment procedure. And again, in the annexure, they clearly define about what is the essential safety requirement, and also the various the type examination, like conformity assessment for the food quality assurance, the type examinations, and the safety component, both for the safety component and as well for the elevator component. And again, this year I want to spend here the couple of minutes here actually. So in the LIFT directive, there is a provision where we can do the conformity assessment whenever we have any new component. So that we can submit the risk assessment. So based on that, we are getting the type of approval where we can implement the new component immediately. Actually. We need not to wait for the standard upgrade or any standard change. So again, I'm skipping actually. So this is a proposal. So okay, so we have seen the different the region how they are following actually. The proposal is how we can implement for India. The first thing is we need the central LIFT Act, which can be released by the Parliament, where we can define the general safety requirement, scope, everything we can define actually. Then again, we need a central LIFT rule, which can be released by the Ministry of Commerce. There again, we can follow the global ISO standard, which is already available as a standard I will show you later. And again, we already have the harmonized standard, we can follow it actually. And again, there is a conformity body really required where the BAs and the third party can support. So this is the ISO standard which is already available, which defines the general safety requirement and also the certification part requirement. Whenever you go for the water certificate or CAP process, there is a standard available which we can use it actually. And as for this, the BAs part actually, as for our industry, There is no separate scheme is required. Already there is a scheme one is available where it gives the certification and the requirement part actually. And this is the key. So this is the key implementation part. So one is we need to define the essential safety requirement, the conformity assessment, and again market surveillance system. And again, as I said, we need the national different escalator registered and the standard governance. As the conclusion, the benefit for the industry. So what is the benefit going to get for this the central different act rule actually? The first thing is the safety and compliance. So definitely it will bring the safety and improve the safety and compliance by means of the harmonized standard and as well as it covers the entire the life cycle. And governance will be the very simplified based on we are replacing the decade-old the state level rule. And again, as I said, it is also supporting the industry and innovation. So this is the big three benefits we are going to bring because of this central big factor rule. So now I am again ending with the question. So do you all believe we need a central big factor rule? Please raise your hand and support.
I'm sure you'll wonder what am I doing here at an elevator and an escalator show. See, the challenges that we face day to day in our projects is pretty similar. We start off a project with certain benchmarks, with certain understanding. We go with preparation for a lift lobby that's probably supposed to be 6 meters wide. We end up finding it only 5 meters wide because there were some changes to design. We have our products cabling that we finalize on how to draw them, and then we find tracers that are installed there, making it impossible for us to do what we want to do. There are several challenges that we are facing. That gave me the topic of talking on criticality of lifts. I think that is the last thing that you want to hear from me. But nevertheless, the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis is enormous. This still doesn't justify why I'm standing here speaking at an elevator and an escalator symposium. The reason I'm here is because I wear another hat, and that as the Vice President of the Forum of Construction Utility Services, the acronym of which is FOCUS. Ladies and gentlemen, FOCUS is a forum for utility professionals of the construction industry. I'm sure you'll ask me that there are several other societies that are already there. EECMAI, Plumbing Association, Fire and Security Association, ISEE and ASHRAE for HVAC, the Architects Association. See, the point is all these societies are doing a fabulous job at catering to the needs of their own societies. However, we do not have one body or one platform where all of us can come and discuss the challenges that we are facing. All of us have challenges in a built environment. We are all part of the same industry, the construction industry. Architects, structural engineers, insurance and risk mitigation professionals, HVAC, lighting, plumbing, power utilities, they all have their own societies. But when is it that all these people come together, discuss amongst themselves, try and find and arrive at the challenges that we all face in our day-to-day life? At a construction site, how is it that we try and find the pain points that disturb both of us together. There are several of these things that we must address, and if we are not able to come onto one platform to discuss this, I guess we will continue to complain about these challenges till the cows come home. What is very interesting, incidentally, gentlemen, is that we are part of this forum, which is one of its kind in the entire world. So, I hope you understand, with a paucity of time, I must end my address here. Please do look at what we have to offer, the Forum of Construction Utility Services. I would encourage each one of you to try and engage with us, become a part of this movement, and let's see how we can address it so that at the end of the day, we deliver projects that are resilient, sustainable, and safe at the end of the day. Thank you very much. I wish the function all success. May the best one be the Mahayogi or Mahaguru of this quiz. My very best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Networking. And with networking and exposure to symposiums like this, we also get to learn. And what these two combined is help us for the future. So we see amongst us a lot of bright young minds, very well technically qualified. Best wishes to them to be the next Mahaguru. So if I look at our industry overall, we are in a very good position. The fundamentals are quite strong. As a country, we are number 2 in the world in terms of the quantity of elevators sold every year. At the same time, urbanization continues to be quite rapid. The migration from rural to urban areas continues very strongly. What this means is that real estate is getting more expensive, and as that happens, you have buildings becoming taller and taller. So the need for vertical transportation is continuing to increase, but what's gained momentum now is this increase is also coming with not just increase in quantity, but also increase in quality. So, in my view, what we are seeing is a very rare coming together of various beneficial factors for the industry, and it is for us to grab it. First one, let me start with what happened very recently, the budget. Now, in the budget, we had the finance minister announcing schemes for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipment, as well as high value and technologically advanced solutions, very specific for the construction industry. Then, city economic corridors are being planned. Then comes the funding. The announcement of the Infrastructure Risk Guarantee Fund is expected to give a fillip to further investments in infrastructure. Couple that with the announcement of certain high-speed rail corridors, that is going to give another big boost to infrastructure. And in all of this, a particular interest also to the component industry is the announcement of dedicated rare earth corridors. And this is of particular interest, especially in the electronics as well as in the traction motor segment. The next area is in policy. You might have heard about DPIIT, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Now they are working about increasing localized content in the elevators in India. There are genuine concerns about the very high content of imports that are coming in from other countries into India. And right now DPIIT is in the process of gathering information to identify measures that can cut down on import dependence. What is hampering us in India, especially in the component industry, is a very high input cost, the cost of materials, given that if you take countries like China, steel, the primary commodity is at least 20 to 25% cheaper. But that said, In the entry level elevators, typically up to 1 meter per second, we are largely self-sufficient. There is very little elevator component imposed. But if you look at the higher speeds, like I said, the quantity was there, now the quality is going up. The elevators are becoming larger, they are becoming faster. But the content of imports is higher in the high value elevators. And this is where we need to catch up. And what can help us here is also the recent spurt of FTAs, the free trade agreements. So although we saw this spurt, but prior to that, India already had 13 FTAs and 6 limited PTAs or preferential trade agreements. So this is not new. But what we saw very recently was some very highly publicized agreements. The one with the European Union, which is termed mother of all deals, and very quickly followed with one USA, the daddy of all deals. That said, the funding is there, the opportunity to export is there, but what is also important is what are we doing in terms of quality, because this is where the standards come in. My colleague Vishwanathan spoke a lot about the new standards, but how many of us are really ready?
But especially in the component industry, as well as medium to small sized elevator manufacturers, how many of us are truly ready? It's a big question mark. We need to ask ourselves this question: what does the standards actually mean? Amongst all of us here, if you ask yourself, how many of us have actually read the standards? Possibly in the technical area, the R&D, the engineering, many people would have read it. But outside of that, how many? Now if you look at functions like sales, how many sales people would be able to talk about the compliance of their product to their customers? So this is something that is a matter of concern. The second one is investments by companies into understanding these standards. How many companies other than the big manufacturers have actually invested in experts within their own organizations who knows the entire standards end to end? This is a problem. The smaller and medium companies have simply not invested in people within their organization who understand these standards and then can actually bring in systems or components that fully comply. How many companies other than the big ones have actually invested in research and development and also in the infrastructure that is required to test that these components comply with the standards? Most people that I've seen in the smaller segment, medium segment is a copy and paste. You see a global design or you see some other design that appears to be working, you copy it, re-engineer it, and there you go. No testing, no validation. So how do you know that it actually works? And the thing is, most of the components pertaining to safety, they need to work only in an emergency. Rest of the time, it's just there as a backup, just like you have airbags in a car. So looking at all of this, what is preventing us? In my view, the first thing is morality. Many of the manufacturers, many of the component manufacturers, we simply do not have the morality to accept that if we do something wrong, it can take a life away. And you see that in the trend of increasing accidents year on year, the reported accidents are on an increasing trend. And this is probably happening because there is no fear of punishment. And this is where I will again allude to what Mr. Vishwanathan just said, the need for a central rule. Not just the need for the rule, but once the rule comes, what is more important is the enforcement that should accompany this rule. So looking at all of this, the knowledge is available. The standards are available for us free of cost. All you need to do is go to the BIS website and download it. But then why are we not implementing it? That inclination is missing. And we need to introspect why. Why is that not happening? People typically look at 17900 as a quality standard, but in my view, it is also an excellent tool for business growth. And let me tell you why. The share of entry-level elevators is declining year on year as more and more high-value elevators come in. Like I said, the elevators are becoming bigger and faster. And when that does, this era of copy and paste that we had so far for entry level elevators is no longer going to work in this segment. So this is where companies need to invest in the training, testing, as well as qualification criteria for both components as well as the systems. And when we do this, just broaden your mind to look at the possibilities. The 17900 is nothing but a copy of EN standards. And the EN global standards, as it gets upgraded to the global ISO 8100 in a few years' time, is essentially a transition without any significant engineering changes. So imagine Indian companies now investing in this infrastructure to develop the right engineering, the right testing, and then you have components that are of global standards. And if we do that, it's not just the component manufacturers who are going to benefit, it is also the big OEMs. The OEMs typically for the global market would either source in respective countries or more often from China. So why can't India be the next China? That's the question we need to ask for ourselves. Today, our quality levels are just not there. We simply do not have the certified components that will help us become an exporter. You look at China, their growth did not come from just their domestic industry. Their growth came from a combination of domestic plus exports. They are the factory for the world. I believe India is well poised to be there for the reasons I already explained. But what is missing is our ability to make world-class components and systems. But do you think it is possible? I believe yes, we can. And I can tell you from personal example. In Wittur, if you look at two key safety elements, one is the overspeed governor, the second is the progressive safety gear. These two we manufacture in India, fully localized. The localized content is close to 90 to 95% depending on the model. And we are not just supplying this in India, we are exporting it around the world. We export it to Europe, we export it to South America, and we also export it to China. I think I will be correct in saying that we are probably the first Indian factory to actually export elevator components to China. And we do that. We do that because we have invested in localization, we have invested in the testing infrastructure, and we've also obtained global certification. This is where people should look not just at certifying in India, that's just the first start. The second is look for global certifications, whether it is CE, whether it is UL. The products that we make here, if you have this certification, it also opens the export market for you. In fact, the example that I just gave, you will be able to see those components in the stall over there. And these are all CE certified. In fact, for us, these products, we sell more in exports than we sell domestically. And that tells a lot. So that being the situation, if we have the international levels of quality, we can also become the next China. Our manufacturers need to expand their horizon, look beyond the Indian domestic market, start looking at exports. And for these, the standards, the quality is what comes out as more important. You be compliant first to 17900, you'll automatically be compliant for EN standards, and that will automatically qualify you for the future ISO 8100 as well. So to summarize, as far as the industry goes, the currents are in our favor. It is up to each and every one of us here to steer our ship to catch that current and then enjoy the benefits that come with it. So let me close by once again wishing everybody a very fruitful 2 days of discussions, and best wishes to the quiz teams. May the best team win. Thank you.
26 on awareness of the enhancement and developments of elevators, escalator standards and codes. The Tamil Nadu Lift and Escalators Amendment Act 2025 was notified on the 3rd February of this month. A lot of change has been incorporated in it. The main thing is introduction of a competent person. For the purpose of obtaining permission, the owner shall authorize a competent person in such form as may be prescribed. The competent person so authorized shall, on behalf of the owner, make an application in such electronic form. This shifts the burden of technical accuracy from the owner, who is often a lay person to a professional. The competent person is expected to be a qualified engineer, like a chartered electrical safety engineer. This creates a new layer of professional accountability. If an application contains a technical error, the competent person is liable, potentially facing authorization revocation. And also, auto generation permissions are introduced in the new Act. This is a radical move towards ease of doing business. It implies that the inspectorate's portal will use algorithmic validation to approve standard applications instantly. I should not take much of your time, so I will conclude. The ISEE Quiz and Symposium 2026 is not a just celebration of the technology, it is a solemn gathering of safety custodians. The Tamil Nadu Lift and Escalators Amendment Act 2025 provides the legal muscle, while IS 70,900 provides the technical backbone. It's now up to the human element, the engineers, inspectors, owners to provide the will. As the Chief Electrical Inspector to the government, I pledge the department's support in this transition. We are moving towards a future where safety is transparent, automatic, and non-negotiable. Thank you.
This symposium, I think. So I have a few things to tell for the lift industry. One is from the design point of view. We always talk of architectural structure and MEP. That era is gone. We have to be inclusive, including the lifts, escalators, because all our buildings are going taller, bigger, and we should be prepared for inclusiveness of elevator industry into the building design. So I'll divide it into three parts. One is the designers. Designers have to look at lift and escalator designs with more carefulness, not putting it where the architect says and be done with it. No, it is like that. So lift requires waiting time, the handling capacity that needs to be correct for the purpose of the building. Like hospital, it may be different. Commercial buildings, it may be different. And nowadays, all the metros and airports, which has a different applications. So all your designs needs to cater for different types of things. So the more during the peak time, how the buildings or the public spaces will act, your design has to move towards that. So predictive waiting time, predictive handling capacity based on type of people and amount of people going through that particular facility needs to be accounted. I think many people are doing it, but it's not fully followed. So you see a lot of people standing in queue in Mumbai, especially I see people standing in front of lifts for a long time. That's not desirable. That means we have not done our design correct. So we need to be stronger from that point of view. And next is some of the key points I would like to tell on the lift industry, how they install and maintain it. We have the ARD. You first install it. It works fine. Are you continuously throughout the life checking whether it's working? Always. That is the quality we need to give. Probably in the age of era of AI, probably all the lift industry people can look at monitoring all your lifts or escalators which you supply for a quality of service continuously. That is one point I would like to see. Next is the escalator, 2-step, 3-step. There are different type of people moving on an escalator. So always architect says close it with 2 steps. Is it okay for all types of people? Handicapped or I'm not aged people, all that people. We need to take into account. From my point of view, 3-step is better. But many places we see this and people are afraid to take the escalators because of this 2-step. is what I believe. So these are some of the points I'm giving. Probably these all has to be encapsulated into the lift, central lift authority requirements. All of us can represent this and make the lift industry technically right. So that is what my request is. Next is the training. We are short of good people who can maintain lifts later in the part of the after installation. Probably different forums can be created for training them. And lastly, on new technologies. So our cities are growing both vertically and horizontally. Probably the fire lifts will not be only used by firemen. In future, it could be used for the people for evacuation. And I think we need to think about it, how to design that sort of lifts and taking people from taller buildings safely out. These are some of my thoughts into this event. So it's a good platform. I wish Kaun Banega Mahaguru all the best. May the best person win, and a beautiful concept by Mathews and the team. I wish ISEE all the best, and people who have come here to participate, please be benefited by the speakers who are going to cover a lot of technical aspects in these 2 days. All the best to the event. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the ISEE Symposium speakers. Thank you so much for putting together these exceptional papers. We are very proud to host the first and only event that brings together the elevator and escalator
because to be specialized and save in any industry, the standards, the follow-up of the standards is mandatory, and the awareness towards the latest standards is very much required at this moment, and this symposium and the this program would pave the way for the achievement of a safe industry in elevators and escalators. Thank you.
What is the role of government in terms of safety of the escalators?
The role of government is very important because we have, as told in the meeting, many states do not have lift act. Certain states have lift act, and especially Tamil Nadu have a strong lift act and rules. We maintain all the standards which ensures the government ensures the safety of the passengers. Any more questions?
Good morning. I'm Balakrishnan from ISEE. This event ISEE. இது எங்க வைக்கணும் இது This symposium ISEE is an excellent platform for unifying all the lifts and escalator industry together to know about the codes and standards, how to unify the codes across the country. This is a very good platform for knowledge enhancement, knowledge sharing, training, how to take the industry forward in a big way for the development of this country and development of Tamil. Thank you.
So you give a speech, it's a two-step, three-step concept.
The lift escalator has a safety step before people can enter into the lift on the vertical direction. So there are 2 steps and 3 steps available in the industry. But when old people and all try to take escalators, 2 steps will not be enough for them to balance before they go horizontal. That is how 3 steps is more safe for those sort of people who are aged and who are physically handicapped. For them to use safely the escalator, it's better to go for 3 steps.
I've been in the elevator industry now for 37 years. I have the privilege also to be one of the organizers of this ISEE quiz and Symposium. For us, Chennai made a lot of sense because of the growth that is happening here and because we realize the enthusiasm of the local public here. So that's why we are here.
What is the outcome of this?
The problem is, or the issue is, elevators are things that can kill inside a building. Now, I'm not exaggerating it. And we are not giving it adequate attention. And when I say we are not giving it adequate attention, I'm talking about even the user public. I mean, for most people, it's just push a button, door opens, door closes. But elevators are way more than that, way more complex than that. So the idea is to get more discussions, expose people to what all happens. So if you look today, there are component manufacturers over here, the components that make elevators safe and ensure that the public are also safe. The discussions that are happening are technologically advancements which are being suggested by fresh new engineers. So that's the idea of this. We are hopeful that as we talk and we discuss more, awareness will increase, and that way safety will increase.
We are very useful to the government, sir.
The government also needs to realize that elevators are more serious. And an example that I gave is, if you look at the automobile industry, the government of India have got regulations for the automobile sector. But when they look at elevators, there are standards which are recommended in many places, and it is not our central subject. Airlines, for instance, is again controlled by the government of India. It's not a state subject. And the question that I ask is, why is it that when it comes to elevators, which are equally a transportation mode, why is it that we do not have it as a central government subject and it's left to states to do whatever they want to do?
Thank you.
Mr. U. Vishwanathan, Director of CONE. He's going to talk about an important topic, the need for Central Lift Act and Escalator Act. Mr. U. Vishwanathan, kindly give a round of applause, please.
Decided to leave us. It's with a heavy heart I would like to call Suraj to the stage. I've known Suraj for a very long time, not just about elevators. In many ways, he's a biker, and in many ways, he gives me a lot of advice on what to do, what not to do. So in many ways, I follow what he does. He bought a Tiger, I bought a Tiger. He bought a BMW GS, I also bought a BMW GS. So I follow him in many ways. He's been advising me on a lot of things. One of the problems I had was the specs. He told me what to do with that too. So just not on elevators and doors. He has given me a lot more. However, he is leaving the industry after over 10 years. But we cannot be grateful enough for the contribution he has done to Wittur as such, and he's been the founding president of EECMAI. So first, I would like to sort of felicitate him on behalf of ISEE. So this is a mountain. He rides up to Leh Ladakh on the mountains, so check out. We are sorry to be losing our president, but then life must move on.
Sir,